start out with an opening statement, and we'll get the questions for the student athletes.
Yeah, great 2025 for our team and our program. I'm very proud of our team. Felt like they're very deserving of being in Omaha, very consistent from the start of the season through a tough SEC schedule and obviously the postseason. And it's as a coach, it's a pleasure to coach great players like Cade and Jared that also are exceptional people. And the common thread of the teams we've brought here has been that. And can't wait for Saturday night. Really excited. Great opponent. Should be a great night for college baseball, and we're honored to be here.
Andrew Rydell, College Baseball Central coach. Can you just talk about the importance of just Cooper Williams coming in as a freshman, being one of the more reliable lefties in the bullpen so far in the back half of the postseason?
Yeah, Cooper's been great. It was a big recruit for us. Obviously got him under unusual circumstances with the coaching change last year at Texas A&M. And he was available, and he was a guy that I'd paid attention to from the time I took the job at LSU. I think he committed at Texas A&M very early in the process, and every time I saw him pitch, it was like, man, I'd love to have that guy. And I think he's very intelligent. He's very mature for his age. He's got a great heartbeat out on the mound. He's athletic. He throws strikes. There's multiple pitches for strikes, and has a great future, but he's a big part of our present. And his ascension, throughout the back half of the season has really, really helped our team, especially in close games like we saw in the Super Regional Game 2.
Hunt Palmer, Guarantee Media. What have you learned about this ballpark over your times coming here? And you say you kind of build your life around Omaha. Do you build a team based on what you have to do in this ballpark?
That's a really good question. First off, I love it. It's the only ballpark I want to play in this time of year. I think it's much different than the places we play in the SEC. It's much different. But you can't get here unless you have success in the SEC. So I think it'd be very short-sighted to just say, hey, we're going to build our team around this ballpark. I think when you talk about offense, something that I've always tried to take pride in is we have the ability to function however we need to or however the game dictates it, whether that's slugging, home runs, the ability to move the offense, hit with runners in scoring position, situational hit, bunting game. And I think this team is very good at all of that. And I think it does give us a chance or a blueprint to be successful in a place that is much different than we play in throughout the year.
Says it's on. Okay, there it goes. Sorry about that. Corey Diaz with the USA Today Network and the Daily Advertiser. I wanted to ask you about Kase Evans as well. In a setting like this, where you could play multiple games in a very short period of time, just how's he able to sort of be a bridge guy for this pitching staff, and he's just been so versatile for you guys all year long?
Yeah, he's awesome. And much as I said with Cooper, he's very intelligent. He is very mature for his age. And you guys don't see any of this, but when you're in those recruiting battles, if you will, when one's going to tip the scales. And then with the freshman, you got to get him through the professional draft. And when both of those things happened, the commitment to LSU and getting him through the draft, I knew that was a big win for the Tigers. And he's obviously has all the physical talent in the world, but the mental disposition, the makeup, the pitchability, we can really do anything that this team needs with Kase, and he's really answered the bell. If there's a freshman pitcher across the country that has done better than him this year, I'd like to see who that is, because he's had a terrific season and he's built for success here.
Joe Menzer, ESPN and SEC Network. You've been here now 4 times. Obviously, winning the championship is the goal, but what's so special about the whole experience, and how do you kind of keep the kids from not getting overwhelmed by it?
Yeah, that's a good question, and something that we definitely have talked about and paid attention to, because there's only 8 of those guys that were on the national championship team in 2023 that are still here. So, and I actually don't think that's a small number in the current landscape, but most of our team, this is their first time here. I think it's just being mature and being professional. And I want them to enjoy themselves. One of the coolest parts is when you land the plane and then you drive right over here and you walk in and they walk out, and I mean, just seeing them smile, and there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put in the bucket to be here. I want them to enjoy that. And then, we go right over to Creighton and train. Like, we need to be locked in on what we're doing for 90 minutes over there, and then go to a steakhouse last night, enjoy being there. That's one of our things in the postseason. You advance to the next round, we go eat a steak. And so that was the deal for last night. And then, you come to the practice and the training day, and there's kids wanting autographs and people in the stadium, and there's a palpable buzz. Like, I want them to feel that. They earned that. And then just have the maturity to shift to preparation and execution at the right time. And I'm confident that we can do that.
Jake McKeever, College Baseball Central. Coach, Monsters made just a seamless transition over from second base to shortstop. Was that always the plan, or is that something that he kind of took the next step to move over there?
Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic, actually, because we were looking at it hard in the fall, and right about the time we were going to really go for it and go like, this is what we're doing for 3 weeks, he actually got really sick and missed the last 3 weeks of the fall. So I actually didn't get the look that I wanted to say this is what we were going to do and stamp it. And then it was going to be, you're going to go to the left side. We wanted to move Danny to second base because I thought that was best for him and best for our team. And it was going to be a shortstop, third base thing with Michael. And, probably about 10 days into scrimmages in the spring, I made up my mind that that's what we were going to do. And he has had the best defensive season of any shortstop that I've ever coached. I think he only has 4 errors. One of them was in game 1 of the Super Regional, and he didn't make the play. It was almost like kind of weird because he has been so good and has really, really lifted our team. And you heard Cade talking about the confidence he has in the defense. A lot of that starts with Steven at shortstop.
Coach, Lawrence Price with TNT Sports. Can you go back to Cade and Anthony, and how important is it to have 2 guys you can hang your hat on at this stage, but then also the differences in the 2 that make them great as well?
Yes, it's made me very happy, to have 2 pitchers of that caliber. And there's a lot of reasons our team is here playing as one of the last 8 and in the College World Series. And it starts with Cade and Anthony and their performance. I'd say they're far more similar than different. They both have exceptional pitchability with 4 pitches that they throw for a strike. If they're off a little bit, they have something that they can go to remain competitive and get zeros on the board. In terms of differences, the only one is, I really don't have one because it's the trust, the competitiveness, the pitchability, the support for each other. I think you heard Cade speak very, very well about that. They both give us the greatest chance to win, and I am so confident and so comfortable with both of them, and it's given us a lot of flexibility, particularly in the postseason, from the SEC tournament to the regionals of what we can do. And it's been great, and I'm proud of both of them, and they're both going to make a Major League Baseball team very happy here very soon.
Jay, you've spoken to it before about knowing that you needed to add pitching to this team, I guess, but to see the payoff and the way you guys constructed this team, I guess, what are you most proud of and the efforts and what you did to get them here?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. When I came here from Arizona, you were going to have Dylan Cruz for 2 years. That was a massive appeal for taking this job. But we had a lot of work to do of constructing a College World Series or national championship caliber pitching staff. And I feel like we've had that for the last 3 years. And it does take a lot. When a Kase Evans is visiting your 5 biggest competitors that are at the headline of the front line of the sport, and you have to find a way to get them to say LSU's the spot, that's really competitive. Chase Shores was committed somewhere else and then ended up committing to us. And then you get him on campus, you get him through the draft. He's guns blazing for 19 innings as a freshman and then has Tommy John. Like, that's a thunderbolt because it was so hard to get him in the first place. So I'm very proud of that. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think we're at the forefront of developing pitching in college baseball. And if you look over the last 3 years in terms of draft picks, statistics, national championship, back in Omaha, you can't argue that. There's no better place for a pitcher in the entire country to come right now and develop to be a major leaguer than LSU.
Scott Rappley with The Advocate. You've shown remarkable concentration to answer questions with that thumping going on. You in Arkansas are like a lot of schools. You've got guys who can throw 100 miles an hour, over 100 miles an hour, and yet hitters aren't completely overwhelmed. In this tug of war between the proliferation of guys who can throw it really hard and offense, what is allowing your hitters to still be able to hold their own?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the only reason you actually have a chance, or we have a chance, or Arkansas has a chance to do that is two things. Number one, we both have talented players on the position player side of things. And then number two, I don't want to say immune to it, but you kind of get accustomed to seeing this elite pitching. And the more you see something, the more you get a little more comfortable with it. I don't know if comfortable is the word I would use, but I think it's the beauty of playing in our league, which is really tough at times, but you get to the postseason and there's really nothing that you have not seen. And when you feel prepared, you can kind of lay it all out there and feel good about your opportunity to be successful. And they're very talented on the mound. As good a constructed pitching staff as I've probably seen in my time in college baseball in terms of starters, relievers, arm strength, out pitches, pitchability, the whole deal. And I think they would probably say the same about us. And I think it'll make for a great game on Saturday night.
Noah Darling, College Baseball Central. Coach, in 2023, you were pretty open about the ongoing strategy of this event, and obviously you won a national championship. How do you consider that, thinking back to 2023, here's what worked, here's what won us a championship, while also seeing new team, new set of teams you're competing against?
I think it's all relevant, and I ask the players to use their experience as well for helping us down the road. And as coaches, we try to do the same thing. I think, playing 8 games here in 2016 and only playing 2 games in 2021, that really helped us in 2023 as far as helping them understand of what's around the corner. And I think those 8 games in 2023 will help this team, and not necessarily in the construct of there was 8 players that were a part of that and here for the duration from first pitch opening night till holding the trophy, but you just want to help them understand what's around the corner. And there's a lot of things that are around the corner when you're playing the caliber of teams that are here. I mean, there's 8 championship caliber teams in this field, and you look at what everybody did to get here, is pretty impressive. And then you roll the tape of at least our side of the bracket and you go like, this makes a lot of sense. Just because nobody or less people have maybe heard of Murray State, that's a real offense. And I haven't got to their pitchers yet. I watched their offense a little bit this morning. And then UCLA, I played against Coach Savage forever. And, I'm 15 games, 5 years, in the Pac-12. And I can tell you a lot about a lot of those games. So I know how prepared they're going to be. And they did a great job, with their recruiting and that sophomore class with Chalowski and all of that. So a challenge is around the corner. We'll have one Saturday, we'll have one Monday. And then you just try to take it a pitch at a time and not get too far ahead of yourself.
Matt Byrne, ADG. As Omaha goes back to a double elimination format, and that could put a strain on innings, how does that affect your strategy with respect to your starters, 2 guys that have proven that they can go really far?
Yeah, I think it's different. I think, which side of the bracket you're on is different. And it's kind of condensed down because you don't have those 1-1 games where you get the extra day off anymore. If you're on our side of the bracket and you lose one of the first 2, there's no more days off and you play straight through. I think, and kind of going back to that previous question, playing 4 days in a row in 23, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you have to be on everything in terms of rest, recovery, how you set your pitching, matching up. And I do feel like our staff, we've developed enough depth that, 1 loss is not a death sentence for us because we can, go into the well and have guys that have started and come out of the bullpen and all of those types of things. I made this comment the other day. I would love to try this thing through the winner's bracket once. That would be awesome. But I feel like our team's built for anything.
Chessa Boucher with NBC 33 in Baton Rouge. Coach, the 2023 team had a ton of stars. Tommy White, Paul Skeens, Derek this team doesn't seem to have as many stars, but it seems like their selflessness is what has really made them successful this year. Is that how you see it?
I would agree with you on one front and disagree with you on another. I would agree with you on the selfless piece. You know, our motto for the year has been toughen together and team over me. And they have totally exemplified that through every stretch. There's so many guys that have not only accepted roles, but have embraced the roles that they have and have excelled in those, even if it's not exactly what they want. I think, you know, in relative to the superstar piece, I mean, we're going to have 2 pitchers drafted in the first 40 picks of the draft, and that those are superstars. Derek Curiel is a superstar. You just might not think of it because he's a freshman that way. Kase Evans is a superstar. William Schmidt is going to be a superstar. Kate Arambidi is going to be a superstar. Danny Dickinson is a superstar. He just played at Utah Valley. He didn't have maybe the volume of time at LSU where the fans knew his name and all that, but I think he's a major league player, you know. So Chris Stanfield, I mean, what a season he's had. And so I'm very bullish on the talent on our team. I think it's been a little bit different style of baseball. This maybe not as in your face as hitting 156 homers as that team did or something like that. But I think we have a lot of high-end players that have done that selfless part very, very well.
Coach, I just wanted to ask, especially with the freshman arms and then obviously Curiel, John Pearson, some freshman bats, have there been any pressure of like trying to get them in, especially in the new landscape of the transfer portal where guys feel kind of timid where, oh, I'm a 5-star prospect and I didn't get these at-bats, then I'm gone?
LSU is not for everybody, but I believe we have 7 here, 7 freshmen, and 7 on the 27-man roster. And it is for those 7. And John Pearson, you know, has 20 at-bats, I think, on the season. He has more than that, plate appearances, but walks, hit by pitches. And I think he's going to be a great hitter here. I think he's a middle-of-the-order hitter on a team that's capable of coming back here. And I think as far as, like, teams in our league go, it's kind of a dying breed of guys getting out there. But, you know, we've run one out in the leadoff spot most of the season. You know, Kaysen has started games in the SEC. He's closed games. You know, William, you know, has 40 innings or something like that on the season. Maverick Rizzi leads our team in appearances. We went to Cooper Williams in a super regional for 2 2/3 to get to Omaha. It's a pretty special group, and I think it's the makeup piece of that. I will never make a decision of what's best for a team worried about losing a player. Like, that would be undermining that team over me and that tough and together piece. We just got the right guys, and I'm really proud of it too because it was a long recruiting window. It's kind of under that old model of, I mean, I've known Derek since he was in 7th grade, you know, and it's like we were hugging mom and dad on the field the other night. We're going to Omaha. It's like, it's about time, you know, 5.5 years later. So.
Jay, your assistant coach, Josh Jordan, is being linked with an open job. I guess just how do you navigate that? Because I'm sure you want what's best for him, but you also understand the moment that you're in.
Yeah, I think if anybody's qualified to talk about this, it's me. You know, with having really good assistant coaches and programs should talk to Josh. You know, he's one of the best in the country. I would support him for anything because he's done a lot for me. He's one of the best, if not the best, assistant coach I've ever had. And he's certainly capable of being a head coach and running his own program. And for me, obviously I want to keep him because he's really good at what he does, and he makes me a better head coach because he's quality, how quality he does his work. As far as the Omaha thing, that's just about being a man, you know, and compartmentalizing those things. And I have no questions about our staff and their ability to prepare with other things going on. I mean, the transfer portal thing it's a distraction as well, but I expect them to be able to execute what they need to do in that space and have our team ready to play and have their areas locked up. And I think how we're designed, you know, as a staff helps in that regard too, because I do so much of, you know, the game management and the offense and strategy, and Coach Yeski calls the pitches. Like, we're lined up good, and I'm happy for Coach Jordan that people are recognizing the work that he's put in, and I hope our people at LSU recognize it too, because I want to keep him.
We're going to take one more question from the back.
Coach, with Kase Evans, do you have to communicate with him more, just given the flexibility of his role, where there's 1 week he's not pitching, there's another week where he's starting, another week where he's just coming out of the bullpen? Does that require just an extra level of communication with him?
Well, he's one of the best pitchers I've ever recruited, and so I love communicating with him. I think every situation's different. I think last weekend, the super regional, managing a super regional and managing the pitching staff is very unique. It's like when you get to the end of the regional, you want to win the game at hand and in front of you, but you also have to have a plan for Game 7 of the regional, Game 3 of the super regional. And so I had a plan going into that game. What was the threshold where we would put him in to finish it to get here? But we had a big enough lead. And then I took advantage of, he obviously threw 100 pitches on Monday night in Game 7. That was Sunday night. I felt like it would benefit him for this opportunity not having to use him. And I think we saw a similar thing we didn't have to use him in the SEC tournament. He probably would have pitched the championship game had we advanced. But that rest from the end of the regular season to the regional paid off in one of the most important performances we've had on the mound. So he'll be ready to roll, and the makeup and the toughness and the ability to adapt and athleticism, all those things, like he'll be ready to go, and I feel like he'd be in a great spot.
That'll conclude our press conferences today. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck this week, and thanks to all the media members that were with us all today. Have a good evening, everybody.